I done a video a couple of days ago saying, have we all overlooked Joseph Parker? And I'm going to completely contradict myself. So I'm going to overlook him right now. And I'm going to look forward to Wilder versus Joshua, just for a few minutes. This is, and I'm racking my brain. Guys, again, I always ask you to get involved because as much as I think I know boxing, there's a lot I don't know. And I think some of you viewers probably know a lot more than I do. This is the biggest super fight I can remember from the last 30 years. No, maybe 30 years. 30 years, maybe. I'm thinking. And what I mean by super fight is this. We've had super fights before. Mayweather Pacquiao, most people consider a super fight. I think Kovalev Ward, I mean, you could argue and say that was a super fight. Some people say Rigondeaux. This is for boxing fanatics now. Rigondeaux, Lomachenko was a super fight. There's been so many. When you go back in time as well, there's so many what we would call super fights, right? Trinidad Hopkins was probably one. I can't think. Basically, there's been hundreds, let's be honest. But in terms of real super fights, like proper super fights, there hasn't been that many. Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua is, I think, the super fight of all super fights. And this is my reasoning. And you guys can jump in if you want, correct me. So when you think of some of the most recent super fights, let's take Mayweather Pacquiao. That's the biggest one, right? That's the highest pay-per-view fight ever. I think it's fair to say that was 5 years past the time we wanted to see it. Pacquiao had then been knocked out by Marquez. We saw some slippage with Mayweather, although he's still Mayweather. He wasn't the Mayweather that 5 years prior to that. Let's be honest. He wasn't the fast, hand speed. He wasn't that guy. So although we got Mayweather and Pacquiao in the ring, I think it's fair to say we got Mayweather Pacquiao in the ring 5 years past when we wanted to see it, when it would have been crazy. You know, when Pacquiao had just destroyed Hatton and Cotto, that's when we wanted to see it, but it didn't happen. Even when I think of Kovalev versus Ward, Ward, although a great boxer, really went up to 175 from 168. I think Ward at 168 was just unstoppable. Ward at 175, you could say that the power could have been with Kovalev, so you could have made that excuse. Rigondeaux, Lomachenko, you know, obviously Rigondeaux jumping up a couple of weight classes. So when you think of some of these super fights, you can make excuses for the loser all the time. There's always an excuse that can be made, whether it be weight, whether it be coming off a long layoff, whether it be injury, whether it be struggled in his last fight. There's always an excuse. When you think of Joshua Wilder, there isn't any. You're talking about two guys right now that are at the top of their game. 110%, there's no arguments, they're number 1 and 2 in a division. With the other super fights, you can make arguments for, oh, could someone get in there? You know, these guys are at the top of their game. They're both right now at their peak. Wilder's, 32? Joshua's 28. Again, no one's old. When you think of Wilder versus Ortiz, the excuse was Ortiz is old now. Wilder's taking him when he's old. When you think of Golovkin versus Canelo, again, Canelo's waited for Golovkin to get old. That's why he's fighting him. Wilder and Joshua, there is nothing. Neither of them have had a defeat. We've seen both of them come through adversity. Neither have got bad injuries. Like, no one's had a shoulder operation. No one's had this done or that done. The only excuse that you could even think about coming up with is where the fight will take place. That's it. Because if it's Wembley, let's be honest, 90,000 fans will be screaming Joshua's name every single punch he lands. That's the only excuse you can make. Other than that, this is two guys right now that are at the top of their game. And it's rare in boxing that we get two guys like that. Normally, there's always one promoter that's waiting for the other fighter to get old or waiting for the other fighter to show maybe some sign of slippage. Nothing here. That's why I think this is the biggest super fight of the last 20, 30 years. Because when I think of all the others, I can make excuses for the victor or even the loser. I can make an excuse for them. For this one, I have no excuse. Whoever wins that fight will just legitimately be the best. There can't be an excuse of a weight drain or I had to jump up in weight class or I've been out of the ring for too long or nothing. This is a super fight of all super fights. And if it does happen, and I say if because this is boxing, then, boy, I think it's fair to say it's 50-50.